very nice, shy. Good to see that you have these. Wow.
28 Minutes or Less podcast with S. Foster.
Battle to win.
28 minutes. 28 minutes. S. Foster. S. Foster.
What's good, everybody? This your boy S. Foster back for another episode of 28 Minutes or Less. And I have a very special guest, first-time guest on this platform, man. A guy I went to school with, know him from the old grid days from back in the day, man. I got the guy, Tyrone, debt-free Ty Collins, on the 28 Minutes or Less, man. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good, man. Appreciate you letting me be here.
Man, listen, I've been, like I said before we started, man, I've been watching you from afar, man. You've been doing a lot of things, man, a lot of great things, man. And I want to congratulate you on your success, man, because you're doing it big out here, man.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. I be trying my best to do what I can, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that.
No
like, this is
problem.
something I've always wanted to do is get on, like, your podcast. 'Cause I remember when you back in the way, because you started the podcast before people even knew what the podcast was. I remember you used to have a Tahoe. I used to see it with the sticker on the back, stolen time sticker. And like, you know what I'm saying? So I remember that. And I didn't know what the podcast was at that time, but I remember, like, I'm like, man, that's what's up, man. But I like figured out it was like, man, Sean been on that, you know? So
yeah, man. Like, yeah. So basically, it's been 5 years, man. I've been podcasting for 5 years.
5 years, wow.
Yeah, and but this is the wild part, and this is what people, you know, that won't know, that they don't really follow me that closely. And what's dope about you is, like, you would do things that you would want people to do. Like, I remember probably like a year ago or so, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Amanda. We don't have to go all through the names, but anyway, they posted, it was like, yo, like, what are some podcast suggestions? And it's just like, boom, you threw in there my podcast. I'm just like, that's the thing. That's one of the most important things when it comes to podcasting, is like, when you have listeners, like, it's dope look, I would never try to down like my listeners or anything like that. I appreciate everybody who take a click or anything, all of that stuff. But it's just like, for someone like you to be like, yo, and you tag me in it, like, yo, listen to Sean podcast. Like, he got a podcast, he's been podcasting for years. And like, for you to do something like that, it means so much, because for some people who may not know and never took the time to even find out, for you to acknowledge me like that. Even I remember a couple of years ago where on Twitter, where you posted something like your top 3 or top 5 podcasts or whatever, like, you included me in there, you know. So like, I just want to say I appreciate that, man.
No problem, boy.
Because that's really dope. And like, that's what we look for, is like, you want people to listen and rate and subscribe and all that stuff, but you also want them to, you know, pass that message along, of like, yo, like, this guy been doing it for a long time, he do good content. So I just want to publicly say, man, I appreciate you doing things like that.
No doubt, man. Appreciate that. No problem, man. Like, I was happy to. Like I said, it's amazing podcast. Like, I remember, like, you and Uncle Washington used to be on the joint, and I used to be together, like, going over the stuff, man. I used to love listening to that stuff, man. It was just, and sometimes I had to, like, stop listening, because y'all be talking about certain stuff I ain't seen yet or heard yet. Man, hold up, I don't want to get it spoiled yet and have to come back to it. So, man, I just, like, yeah, man, I'm just happy, like, that you be a part of that and be able to, like, listen to it and share with other people, because people don't be knowing, you know what I mean? So that's like another thing. It's just the most slept on. It's like the most slept on podcast out there, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? For sure,
man. But that is high compliments, man.
Yeah.
And like, and I think that another thing is, because you go back to the Stolen Time podcast days, and it's just like, you know, with him being gone, like, coming up on a year, man. It's just it's been tough, man. You know, because I had to put that podcast to bed, because, you know, like, some of the guys that I deal with in this podcast world, like, they were just like, yo, like, they would ask me, like, what are you going to do with it? Because I haven't decided, like, when he passed, I hadn't decided what I was going to do yet.
Right.
And they was just like, look, man, like, I'm going to be honest with you. You're my boy, but I wouldn't replace him. It was like, it just wouldn't be right. They was like, Uncle Washington was so unique to the fact of, like, you can't keep that podcast going with another host under the same name.
Right.
So,
exactly. I
So
understand that.
I had to kind of put it to bed. But man, but that podcast, like to get me to where I am today, like Uncle Washington is the primary person, like for me to evolve the way that I have. Cause like I'm a type person, why do a podcast and expect other people to listen if you ain't gonna listen?
Right,
So like I listen to my stuff to be like, oh, I messed up here. I could do better here. Like Uncle Washington is that person that got me to evolve and get better and better at this.
right.
And yeah, and so it was just it's just dope to see somebody, like you to do what you do and to say like, yo, listen to this podcast, man, because it's pretty dope. So I'm thankful for that, man. I
Yeah.
really am.
Yeah, I'm just impressed, and like I just admire the consistency. See what I'm saying? Because that's been times where I don't heard you say there were times when you didn't even feel like doing, but you still uploaded every week. You still did your thing. It was like crazy just for you to go through every single week. I remember, I think you was playing ball. I think you had broke your ACL or Achilles or something. Remember that?
I tore my Achilles.
Yeah, I remember that. You was like, I remember you at that time, but you was still loading the podcast. You was still doing your thing, whatever. And I was just like, man, like sometimes people use this as like, be like, I don't have time to do it, or I don't feel like doing it because I got this excuse. But you was still going. I was just super impressed by that, man. I remember that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, man. Look, dude, it goes even way deeper than that, dude. Like it's been so much, things, man,
yeah,
that has happened. But like podcasting for me is kind of like therapy.
yeah,
Like that gave me that time to, forget about a lot of things that I was going through, like in my personal life and
right.
things like that, where I could podcast for like an hour and a half, and it took my mind off of it. So it's podcast is really a dope thing, but everybody think they can do it, but it's not as easy as everybody
Right.
think it is.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? I know
So
exactly what you mean by that.
yeah, and that's what's gonna take me into what one of the things I wanted to ask you about was like when did you start your YouTube page and what made you start your YouTube page to give out the advice that you've been given?
Well, I had the page for like ever, but I actually started like providing content. I started like providing content. Like really, I had got inspired off of seeing how you did. Because you remember, it used to be just on. I used to get it on like Apple and on what you call like the actual the audio. But like
Hmm.
your audio made me want to go to the visual thing, and I started doing it. I'm just trying to build content. I love that's what I do all the time. I'm always on like YouTube looking at other people's stuff. So I was like, let me like start kind of like recording things because stuff be in my head. So sometimes I'll just record something just so I can have the information instead of me just writing my notes, or I still write notes and then make a video of it because I got so much stuff that I got that I haven't even uploaded because like you were saying before, it's like it's not for the. A lot of times it was times where I remember I was trying to do certain things this way because this person did it this way, and I was like thinking about like the visual, thinking about the audio, and I just couldn't get nothing really right the way I wanted to. Then you get criticized, and sometimes depending on what you got going on, a lot of times it's like, yeah, I figured I ain't gonna load, I do it later, or, since that's what happened. Why I haven't really uploaded like I was, because now I don't got to. I'm trying to get back into everything where I'm consistent on all social media. It's like on my Twitter, my TikTok, trying to like get everything organized so that way I can start actually upload. Cause I got a lot of stuff I just ain't never upload. I had been uploading it, but yeah, that's pretty much coming from just seeing how y'all were doing what you was doing, and I just wanted to kind of take it into like the I guess the business part of how to do this in trucking, how to do this in real estate, or like lifestyle vlog or whatever I can do. So that's where it really came from.
Oh man, look, I didn't even know that, man. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
and the great thing about that, and I appreciate you saying that you even took any model from anything that I've done, man. That's flattering, man. And it also happened with Jamar. When
yeah,
he seen me doing the Stolen Time podcast, he reached out to me when he started his podcast, and like he has skyrocketed with that and the Distinctive
right,
Drip Network and all that type stuff. So just to have an impact on people, because I think that was the main thing. Like when I started this, like I wanted to impact people in a positive way, and to be like, yo, if this small town dude, from a small town can start something from the ground up, and to even if it only reach one person, because I think that to measure success ain't always about how many listens you can get or how much money you can make. It's like how many people can you impact. And
right.
I think that I have, with you saying that, because I knew that I impacted somebody like Jamar, but I had no idea that I impacted anything that you've done.
Oh yeah,
You
for
know,
sure, man. Cause I told you, I didn't even know what a podcast was until, like I said, I seen the stick on back of the towel, and I looked it up, and then I remember you used to post the stuff. So then I saw you posting every week. So then I started going back listen to old stuff, and I remember I was like, yo, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? I remember I was saying something to you, and you was like, man, you was like, people didn't know what our podcast was. I was like, go to the
Mhm.
video thing, and you was like, man, they'll catch on, and then they finally caught on there. But I remember that, so from that point, yeah, for sure, man. Like, it wasn't just the podcast, it's just everything you used to do, like how you used to make the like even now how you'll post, and then you'll have like, let's say we talking about a certain TV show, and then you'll have like how you advertise it. All that was just impressive to me. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I get a lot of ideas for how you post your stuff online, and I see it and I be like, oh yeah, they're gonna be talking about such and such show. I haven't seen that, so I'll come back and watch it later on because I don't want to, like. I mean, I haven't seen that yet, so I'll come back and watch it later on because I don't want to. I hate for people to spoil
Yeah.
shows for me because I'd be really into the stuff. You know what I'm saying? So somebody be like, oh, such and such died, and I'd be like, yo, man, I told you I hadn't seen it. You know what I'm saying? So I had to, like, try to watch stuff as fast as I can because I know as soon as I see somebody that I know they're gonna bring it up. So
Yeah, exactly, man. I appreciate that, man. So also, so you said you got into real estate and trucking. So what got you in the start of doing that and having that entrepreneur mindset?
okay, so like the trucking thing, like that's what I had been doing. Like I went to trucking school when we had got out of high school.
Oh,
But
okay.
the thing is, I had failed my test like 2 or 3 times trying to get my CDL back then, and I just like my mind wasn't there, so I just gave up on it, and like I ended up getting a job working for DHL. When I got a job working for DHL, I kind of like gave myself an excuse like, oh well, this is good enough. But really, back in my head, I felt like a failure for like years, like 6 years. In my head, I was like, I should have finished some things until I started going like to church. Pastor started talking about finishing things. So I took his advice. I went back to school and got my CDL, and then I worked for a company for like 7 years, and then finally, eventually, I went off and got my own truck. But my uncle that drives truck, that's who I watched as a kid. I liked how he lived, like how my cousins grew up. So by seeing how he lived, I felt like, and I didn't want to go to college or nothing like that. So I'm like, shoot, I want to be a truck driver. So I always like wanted to do that. So I eventually finally got back into it. And once I got back into it, that's how that started. And then like think about the real estate kind of like that's something I always wanted to do too. But I used to like listen to a lot of Dave Ramsey. So the real estate, I was postponing the real estate because I was thinking I had to like, in order for me to get in real estate, I got to go pay cash for a house to get into real estate. So I was sitting around waiting until I did it. But I wish I would listen to that because I could have been done what I've been doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I
Yeah.
stopped listening to what he was saying. But like, yeah. So that's kind of how that all came up. But like, I've always just loved the business, like business aspect. I think I just didn't have the courage to do business. Like I kind of stayed in my comfort zone. Like it's like if I can get into this be here and be comfortable, I'm straight because I felt like I didn't really personally know people like that was in business. The people I did know in business, it didn't seem like they were doing any better than anybody that was doing it the normal way. And like I said, until I started like getting on YouTube and start seeing other people do certain things and start getting inspired. And then my wife, she used to work for a jewelry company here in Atlanta, and I remember before I ever met who she worked for, she's telling me she used to work for I think these Indian guys, and like I was thinking it was some older men because like kind of numbers they were doing. So they had like some kind of bowling alley thing, or bowling party for doing like the highest month. So I went there, and she introduced me to her bosses, and they were like younger than me, and I was just like, dang, you know what I'm saying? I knew what they were paying her. So in my mind, I'm like, they must be really, So I guess from that day, I got inspired. I went home that day and drew out a plan to like get my own truck. You know what I'm saying? My own drug plan, and like 4 months later, that's what I did. So that's kind of where it all really started from, just seeing people younger than me doing business, and I just got inspired from there. And from then, I just never looked back, really.
Man, see, that's a dope story because like that's kind of what it was for me with podcasting. Like I didn't know nobody who did a podcast, and I just had recently found out what a podcast even was. And
Hmm.
what it was for me was reading Charlemagne's book, Black Privilege: Opportunity Come to Those Who Create Them. And so when I got done reading that book, I started a podcast like a week or 2 weeks later because
Wow.
like that book was what inspired me to go out and do something that I've been wanting to do because before it's not that I wasn't completely in the lane because I used to do like little YouTube clips of like events or sports thoughts. Like it was never that long. Like all the stuff that I did on YouTube, probably like 15 minutes, a little something real quick. And
Yeah.
even before then, I used to do a sports blog. So I've always been passionate about sports and movies. And I just really never had anybody to express that to. Like I didn't have anybody that felt strongly about it as I did. So that's why I took it to a blog and took it to a YouTube page. And so for you to not have any, because see, I think that's the biggest thing is like being around people who don't do those things and
Right.
then kind of being like a trailblazer into it. Because now I feel like from what you're saying, you look more like a trailblazer to me because you was like, yo, I didn't know nobody around me that did it, but then you saw somebody else that was younger than you and they inspired you to do something that you didn't have anybody else around you doing. So
Right.
I think that that's dope for you to pick up on that. And I also think that with the way that you would go on, like, so once you got this information
Mhm.
on how to do this, and it says it took you a couple of months to get into it, what made you be like, you know what, I'm gonna share this information with the world?
I think it was just from, I guess, all the information that I had been getting, and I felt like, dang, this like was better. This is like better than the stuff I learned in school because I didn't really like the stuff I learned in school was just wasn't didn't get me to what I'm doing right now. It just kind of got me like learn how to read, know how to count. But other than that, I really didn't get anything out of it. But that's what I'm getting. So I'm like, I want to share what I know so people don't make the same mistakes I made, and I can like document. I love document. I love watching documentaries. I love seeing the process. Like it's something I'm really into, seeing the process. So I felt like this may not make sense now, and people may not understand it. 'Cause I remember when the day I got my CDL, no, the day I got my CDL and I got ready to go over the road when I first started driving, I made a video in my mom's living room. It's like 10 minutes long, and I posted it on YouTube. And I never went, and I probably went years, and never went back to look. And then I went back and it had like 20,000 views or something like that. And I was like, and like I didn't have no followers or nothing at the time. It was just like I was just like I didn't even have no subscribers or nothing like that. It was just people had seen that video and they had all comments. I'm like, dang. From there, I just kind of like started making stuff because I felt like people. A lot of times we sit back and we be thinking we don't know what people go through or we don't know how to do something. And I felt like if I can just share things, just give out game. Like if people, I probably grow a following, and I can be known for this particular thing, and I can help others, and they can pay, and then they can turn around and pay it for it also. Cause that's the whole thing about it. I just love, like you said, the therapy, getting it out of my head, put it on video, and saying this, and then I can go back and like watch and be like, okay, I was saying this at this time, and now I'm doing this, or okay, I don't believe that no more. Now I need to make an update video. It's just like it's just documenting. That's really the main thing about it. It's just documenting the journeys. 'Cause sometimes like I said, I'll record certain things, and I'm recording really just to get it out of my head. Because like I said, my mind is so much stuff going on, so I want to get it out there. So I wanted to like, if I can help others, try to get it out there without asking for. That's one thing I used to hate was like, and I guess that's like a big thing now. But I used to hate when someone or like give you a little bit of information, but they give you enough information to click on their stuff, and then they hit you with for like for like $7,000 if you just click this link. We can teach you
Yeah.
how to make. And I was like, hey, I didn't want to be that guy. I don't want to be like no guru or nothing. I just wanted to be like, hey, look, hey, this is how I did this. I had trouble with this, and this is how I did this. And then like leave it at that and just put it out there, and then someone else can go on Google, go on YouTube and type in the issue they're having, and they can type that in and they can figure out, oh, that way it don't cost them a whole bunch of money, and they can get it, and then they can like maybe subscribe, and then later on they can share it to somebody else, and then I can like grow my following from there, and I can like continue in this content world. So that's really where a lot of it comes from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it's dope because to be able to do things like that, I think that when you spark something in someone else, because like I'm an assist guy. Like I've always kind of been that guy. And even when Jamal reached out to me, he was like, I couldn't believe that that you even did it. He was just like, but I didn't know if you was going, because like even in the text, he was like, I know you might be busy, and
Mm-hmm.
and they're just like, nah, like if I can help somebody, like I'm more happy about somebody even reaching out and even thinking to me to be like, yo, let me ask him. And
Right.
I just think that to be something that could, because it could be someone that never even expressed anything to you, that watched your video
Right.
and like either got their own truck and was just like, yeah, maybe they never acknowledged you and maybe you may not know, but you're like, you are affecting people in a positive way.
Right.
And I think that's one thing that we should do in life is we always should evolve and affect people in a positive way. Like that's my whole thing. Like my whole existence is to, like, especially having kids, it's like, yo, like I want the best for my kids and I want to affect them in a positive way. But if I
Right.
also could affect, other people who didn't have to go through like maybe some of the hardships that I had to go through when I first started the podcast, like I had to do like a lot of research
Mm-hmm.
and and things like that. And I had to go through like, I mean, even when it came down to like stuff like I remember like early I started on SoundCloud
Mm-hmm.
and then I back then you had to send you had to get you had to submit a thing to Apple and get approved by Apple. Like Apple wasn't just taking podcasts.
Oh,
So
okay.
I had to send it in and I got approved. And I remember I had a huge problem with it wouldn't take my picture. And like cuz it had to be like a certain size. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So then like I was reaching out to my other podcast friend that I do the Viewers Anonymous with. He was trying to help me. My guy Casey was trying to help me, and then we finally figured it out. But then, like, the picture was still not right. So
Right.
then, like, I had to go through. Like, I mean, like, dude, I was about to throw my laptop out the window. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, I'm
Right.
like, yo, fuck this, man.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
so it's like for me now, it's like, yo, if I can help you get through that stage of not having to go through the frustrating things that I had to go through, even as something like, yo, I've lost podcasts. There's podcasts where it was just like, yo, I'm trying to edit it and fucked up and deleted the whole thing. And like, it's gone.
Dang.
And so like for me to be able to help someone so they don't have to go through those hardship times. But see, I'm just talking something on a small scale. I'm just talking podcasting. You're talking about starting businesses. You're talking about, what I'm saying, where to put your money and how to, shape it and things like that. And that's way more important than what I'm doing. So like your impact on the world, like you said, that video got 20,000 views. We don't know what that did for somebody.
Right.
And I think that the way that a lot of us, I don't know what was your situation, but for me growing up, I grew up in a household where they were just like, yo, don't get a credit card. It'll mess up your credit. Like that's how I was raised. But then I started, evolving and, learning things in college and meeting new people. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, like getting a credit card is like the best thing for your credit, yo. And
Right.
it's like not knowing those things growing up, like, was that something that you had to grow up with, or like were your parents? Because my parents wasn't really money illiterate. Like they didn't really know, what I'm saying, how to make money other than basically working,
Right.
for a job. Like, was
Like,
that the same situation for you?
well, like my mom. See, like my mom, it's like she. The thing about her, that's where I get the money thing from, as far as like knowing how to manage it. Because like my mom, she didn't ever make a whole lot of money. She did like she was like just everybody else, that we from. Everybody used to work at the textile mills. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? They used to be big back in there. So, they didn't make a whole lot of money, but that's what everybody did. But she knew how to manage money. So for her to be able to manage money the way she did by raising me and my sister, like by herself the way she did, and the way she taught me without really teaching me was like, you always like she just made sure you always got to pay you always got to pay your bills, you always got to save money, you always got to do this. So I thought that was like law. Like I didn't even know no other
Mm-hmm.
way. Like I thought if you can be late on, because I never seen her be late on anything. We never had lights off, none of that stuff. So seeing her just, I felt like almost like if you don't pay the bills, like you're gonna die or something. I didn't really think I'm gonna die, but that's kind of how it was, And it's like, and then she never missed work. So in my mind, I thought like when you miss work, that's like the worst thing. Like you miss work, no matter if you like you gonna get fired and that's it. So that's kind of where that come from. Just seeing her. My grandpa the same. My grandpa he just real tight with money. He's real frugal. So I seen being around her and him. Really, that's where I got that from. As far as that, as far as having to make it, I didn't learn how to start actually making money until like around like I think during the recession happened. The recession thing happened. I started hanging around my boy Maceo. You know Maceo from
Yeah,
Greer?
yeah,
I
yeah.
started hanging around Maceo. When I started hanging around Maceo, it's like being around him because he's older. So being around him, I was like 22 at the time. So I'm being around him. He's like he was telling me like sitting and talking to him. He told me he didn't get past eighth grade, but being around him and seeing that ambition and seeing like he used to take me around people and like just that mindset they had, like they could do anything, no matter what kind of education they got, no matter what. I just see them make nothing out of something, and just seeing it, just being around it, seeing it, it was just like impressive. And I just learned being around him for years. I was around him for like 10 years, so being around him, that's where I got the making money stuff from. I saw him sleet snow out there, like even now, I'm sure he probably be out there in his tow truck. Got his wife out there. They doing the things, and it was just them two at the time. I just see them like hustling. They early morning to night, no making no, not making no excuses. Now that's where I learned that making money part from, as far as like just going, doing what you need to do without making excuses. 'Cause it's up to you to get to where you need to be at. So I learned that from. That's where I got that part from. But as far as, so I just took that plus the managing part, and then combined it together, and that's kind of how I was able to form what I'm forming now. But as far as like the credit card stuff, like I don't remember seeing any credit cards growing up, but like I said, I had started listening to Dave Ramsey at one point. Period. Like, but by the time I got to Dave Ramsey, my credit and stuff was good. And I didn't have no debt, but I had like this one little credit card I got from the credit union. It was like a $500 minimum, a maximum. And I never used to always ask me, did I want to like raise? I'd be like, no, you know what I'm saying. So then I just cut the credit card and I started listening to him because I didn't need it anymore. Because I figured Dave says pay cash for everything, so I did that for the longest. So doing that, because I had a house, that kept my credit good by paying my mortgage. But as far as learning how to like use the card and all that stuff, I didn't really learn how to use a credit card the right way until like maybe like 2 years ago, maybe a year, 2020. That's when I actually started using the credit card again. And from there, when I started figuring out how to use it and how to like manage it and stuff like that, I was like, dang, I should have been doing this so long ago. I would be so much further, but spilled milk or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's because I was listening to, that would just be my problem. My problem is I used to get around people, and it's good because I just didn't really grow up with no dad or something. I used to get around people, and when I start learning something from them, I'll get around. I'll do whatever they do the way they do it. If they don't do it any other way, I won't do it anyway. Because I'd be like, this person, like I told you, I started going to church. So that pastor, he was saying, do this one way. So I did everything the way he said. I started hanging around this person, this older person, this wise person. I started doing the way they do it. Like I just do. At the times I got where I was just doing things the way I felt like my mentors and my teachers were doing it. So that's what I would do. I would know why I would do certain things. I would do it because they do it, and it looks like it works for them. And then eventually, I got to the point where I start thinking for myself. So I start taking pieces of everything I learned from them, and then I just kind of made it into now. So now that's just like whatever people see me doing now. I kind of like doing it on my. This is me. This is what I'm doing, and I pretty much is a mixture of all that stuff put together. It just kind of keeps me in the safe zone. It kind of keeps me now like I actually take risks. I take risks now to the point where I take them, but it's like I used to not want to lose money. I might take a risk now and lose some money. And like a lot of times, before it'll like kill me to lose this kind of money. But now it's like money's just a tool. Like money to me is just like a tool and toolbox. I can figure out how to get it back. It's just I just know not to do that thing that way anymore, or know not to do business with this person, or let this person do this anymore. Like I just learn each time. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at with it now.
Yeah, it's kind of like that term, scared money don't make no money. Like,
Right.
like I've heard that before, and I'm dabbling in things, but I'm at a lower scale. So the risk reward ain't that high because I'm only putting, what I'm saying, small amounts, in. Like I'm dealing with certain things where, what I'm saying, like I'm doing things like Acorn now. What I'm saying? I've got involved in Bitcoin a little bit. Like I don't have a huge amount of money in it, but like it's just I remember talking to this one guy. And he's a money guy. And he's like, look, as long as you in the game, you're in the game. He was like, yeah, you could be in it at a small point, but at the same time, you got to understand the rewards ain't gonna be as big if you're not putting more risk or putting more money into it.
Right.
So like, yeah, so I exactly know. I know what you mean, man. And I just think that, like, my cousin Brandon.
Yeah.
So me and Brandon was talking.
Yeah.
We was on the phone one day, man, for about 2 hours, like just talking like money,
Right.
like things that he's learned with the people that he's been talking to and hanging out with, and the things that I've learned with the people that I've been hanging out with and talking with. And like, he put me on some game on something he heard from, a guy, because his whole thing is like, yo, like, they always say you are who you hang around with a lot of the times. And if you hanging around with a lot of people that are complacent and like stuck in their ways, you're gonna a lot of the times be complacent and stuck in your ways. But
Right.
like he was saying, like something like, yo, like I learned something from this guy. He told me that he got his son, this white guy, he said got his son a credit card in his son's name when he was 15. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, now his son is 21, and he was like, his credit score is like an 8.
Right.
So like, I ain't know nothing like that. I didn't even
Right.
know that was something that I could even do. And it's like, so now it's like I'm thinking on that whole mode of like, yo, you know what I'm saying? My son will be 15 later this year.
Right.
So it's just like, okay, right. So this is something that information that I took from him that he took from somebody else. And see, it's all about that trickle down effect.
Right.
And also to go back to the things that you're doing, like it's trickle down effect of like, yo, like I'm giving y'all free information. You know, but not free, but like Jay-Z said in on
So
444.
to the
He was like,
999, 99. Yeah, that line. Yeah, that hard line.
yeah,
I
that line.
can't say it, but that line was hard though.
He
Yeah.
was like, I'm giving you $1 million worth of game for 9.99 or something
999,
like
and
that.
title was 999. Title was 999 at the time too. That's why. That's why.
So,
That's what. Yeah, because title. I was listening to it on title, and title was 999. And when I listened to that song, so I was thinking, it's kind of when you think about how Jay-Z put stuff together. He said that like he's giving you $1 million worth of game for 999. I mean, you paying 999 for this whatever you listening to. I'm just that's what I thought. I thought he meant, right?
but
Like
I think I think he meant like most albums, like if you buy them on like iTunes, like 9.99.
Oh, okay. I thought he was talking about because title was 999, and then you. So I didn't know everything else 999 too.
Well,
So I was thinking,
well, no, because you know what? I think he got to the point because there was a time where Jay-Z, you couldn't listen to a Jay-Z album unless you had title, because he took all of his music off the street
and put it on and just put
and
it,
put it
yeah,
on title.
right,
But I think once 444 came out, I
yeah.
think that it was on everything because I listened to it.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So,
gotcha, yeah.
but like it's another line, and I noticed you. I'm not going to assume, but I'm going to say you might take a little opposite approach of what I take to certain things. So I see a lot of the things that you post, right? And I think the reason that you post them because you'll put like motivation like in the tag, and like to also take a line from what Jay-Z said. Jay-Z was like, "Yo," in that same song, he was like, "Holding money phones to your ear." He was like, "They don't make sense over here." Like,
Right,
so what he's saying is like, yo, like I got a different kind of money. Like I don't have to
right,
take a picture with a you know what I'm saying, with a
right,
wad of money because everybody know I got money.
right,
Like
right,
how do
right.
you feel about like that line? Because like I see you post like things about like a huge house or you know a dude with a like nice Maybach or whatever or something like that. Like, is that a way that you think that that's a tool to motivate people? Is to try to either teach them game like Jay-Z doing, or you think that more people respond to seeing like the money phone? Like,
Right, it's just a mixture because like like mix like they would say like we urban, right? A lot of us urban, so I got a lot of urban people that follow me, so they would say, right. But that's like a mixture because I know exactly like our what Jay Z saying. I want to get there to that point where it's like for example, you know how somebody say you ain't got real money unless you get on a private plane, you ain't got to take a picture of it. But I know that if I get a chance opportunity to get on a private plane, I'm taking pictures of it. I ain't, you know how you say a lot of rappers say that they ain't got Diddy money, so they can't just wear one chain. They gotta have you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
All the chains, cause like it's just I don't know what that is. It's just something that like we hadn't got there yet. But a lot of people that follow me hadn't got there yet. But I know it's certain things I know that'll draw attention. So a lot of
hmm
times I may post something like that, like may have like whoever hold a bundle of cat, cause I know people like it. 'Cause I know I like it. When I see it, it's like I know I wouldn't take a picture like that just because of my personality. But I like seeing other people like flex. So I was like, I see a picture, I like it, I'll share it because I know, or I put some kind of thing with it because I know that it'll like it's gonna draw a certain look. Someone's gonna read it, what's called, and also gonna see the picture, and it's gonna kind of put it together. But like what Jay Z saying is real, like with his level of money, because you can see old pictures of him with the chains and all that stuff way
yep,
back in the day. But now at this point, like he don't even get his head shaped up. You know what I'm saying? You know, he might put on one chain, but you know that it's like, oh yeah, he got that Bill Gates, he got that he got that billionaire status. He ain't even tripping. But a lot of us like we trying to like, so it's just all a mixture. But yeah, I know exactly what he's saying on that, man. On that fofo, that album is one of my favorite ones as far as like getting financial knowledge because it's all through the album, but especially that song right there. You know what I'm saying? But I love it. You know what I mean? Because I'm thinking about a lot of stuff he's saying. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, don't die of the neighborhood that your mama renting. Remember that line?
yep.
don't get shot over the neighborhood that you're because that goes with a lot of people beef over which side they from. And a lot of that, it's so many different bars in that album. It's like when you think about what he's saying, like, dang, like we beefing over, we from this side, they from that side, and shoot, we everybody like shoot, we can all get put out the spot, we can all get kicked out of here. We don't own none of this stuff, you know what I'm saying? So it's just
Exactly.
yeah. So a lot of that, man, I love that. I love that. A lot of people didn't like it. I know a lot of people when it came out, a lot of folks was talking about how they didn't like it or whatever. But I don't,
You
yeah,
you know why? Because I think that the thing that people have to understand is just because your age say you're grown don't mean you're grown.
right,
You know what I'm saying? So I think that that album was so mature that I think that some people haven't elevated to that level yet. I think that
okay,
only certain people understood it. Because like I remember there was rappers that was, I mean, Jay-Z don't beef with nobody, but like they were trying to beef with Jay-Z because he was talking about the money phone thing.
right.
And it's like, yo, like y'all don't get it. Like
Y'all
what
don't
Jay-Z
get it,
is
right,
saying, I'm so grown up, I'm so past that. He even talked about like the cars that he used to buy back in the day. He was like,
right.
I'm looking at it now, like, why
Yeah,
the hell did I buy
yeah,
that
yeah. I
car?
could about every V12 engine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm
And
saying? Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think, like he said, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect with our
Right.
community. And I think that I'm more I understood everything Jay-Z was saying and the point that he was trying to put out. Like I did a episode, on here called The Smith Brothers. And like I do like this little series thing of like I like to take like these people that was like considered like American gangsters and like they did something that was, like the Smith Brothers, for instance, like they got locked up for in a friend George, I forgot what George's last name was. But what made them stand out to me was like they was involved in all of these robberies in San Francisco. And
Okay.
what made them stand out, what made them so different was when they was doing robberies, right?
Hmm.
Like the George guy, he talked a lot through it and he was like, yo, we would go into a house. Well, people would go into a house and steal stereo equipment and all type of shit like that, and walk past a painting that cost $2 million. So he ended
Oh,
up going to school and learning about art and
okay.
literature and all this type of stuff. So he knew like when if you broke into a house, oh, that painting right there, that's Da Vinci. Like that painting is worth $400,000. Like fuck the stereo that
Let's
costs
take them.
five hundred
Yeah.
dollars. I'm
Right.
taking this picture down. And
Right.
I think what makes that so fascinating is like that's what Jay-Z talking about, but this dude was talking about this back in because I think they got locked up in the early 2000s. So we talking late 90s where this dude learned how significant art was.
Right.
And I just thought that it was so dope. And then to go back to Jay-Z, for Jay-Z to be saying, yo, I just bought some art that cost 1 million, 2 years from now, it's gonna be 3 million.
Right.
And it's just that type of game, man. It's just we didn't know this stuff.
Right. Didn't have none of this stuff. But that goes back to the exposure thing. Like exposure. Let's say, for example, like his kids will definitely know this stuff because they know somebody or his nephews, whoever. Just by knowing someone being able to expose you at a young age to certain things, like your mind, it'll take your mind and it'll take your level of what you know to a different level. Which one thing I love about the internet now, because like even now, like younger kids can see certain things on the internet that we would have never got to see because we didn't have the internet back in the day. So it's things that now we're getting exposed to because it's out here. But before, you really just had to know somebody that was on that, or wonder how this person did this and did that, to know them to know what this is and what that is. Because it's like I used to be like that, where I like, like for example, like they say, you can't really tell, like for example, like in Greer, right? Like the man who owns most of the property in Greer, when you see him, you'll never know that he has the money that he has because he's just a normal person. But in your mind, you would think the person that's got all the jewelry, the car, and got the rims and all that stuff. But you looking at his money all into the car and onto the rims. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? That's like that kind of thing because we like visual. Their money sitting out in the parking lot. His money is sitting into like these bricks, these buildings, the land, and all that stuff. You can't see it, but it's millions. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like when you look at that, it's like it's just a different look. Like you were saying, that guy went to school to learn the art, and somebody, but man, why are you taking this picture? We don't need no paintings. I'm gonna sell this. I'm gonna sell it. We're gonna get rich off just this, and it's gonna be less work. You see what I'm saying? We're gonna
Yep.
take this one thing, get on out of here. You know what I'm saying, and do what we need to do. No one's crazy. Like no one. That's like something I would have saw on what's that show? Animal Kingdom. You ever watch Animal Kingdom?
Man, I love Animal Kingdom, man.
That's something they would do. They would do some stuff
Yeah.
like that. Smurf would have them doing something like that, or that what's it called, lady that be with the one brother with the long hair.
Uh,
Uh,
Daryl, not Daryl.
Not Daryl.
That's
The tall one, the big one.
yeah, the one. He's always fucking up.
He always mess up. Yeah,
Um,
the chick that he be like kicking it with sometimes. She be on like going to houses doing stuff like getting like art, getting like certain pieces and stuff like that. So
yeah,
something she would
yeah,
have him doing right. But yeah, man. So yeah.
yeah. Look, man, that's a great transition, man. Like I be seeing like a lot of the show that you be saying that you watching, and I be like, yo, I be on a lot of the stuff that you be watching,
Yeah.
man. Like I seen that you posted today. I watched it. I finished it last weekend. Pieces of Her.
I just watched the first episode
It-
last night, and one thing I don't do now, I don't look at previews before I watch them. I just click on it, right? So I click
Uh-huh.
on it. I'm just sitting there, and I don't know. I'm kind of sort of don't know what this is. So I see this lady, and I'm kind of like not really paying attention. And next thing you know, dude came in and did what he did, and I was like, oh, what is this? You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking, okay, this how this is going to end. So then when he got, I'm like, dang, he finna, the lady daughter. I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying? And then when he did the thing with the hand, I was like, oh snap, what's gonna happen? Everything just paused. And then when she did what she did, because I don't nobody else see if they ain't saw it yet. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is gonna be something I have to watch, you know what I'm saying? Because I was like, when I saw that, I was like, dang, what is this? I saw now I'm like glued to like I'm gonna probably finish it the night probably. How many episodes is it?
I think it was 8. It
I
was
might be able
yeah,
to
I might
finish
be
by
8.
this week. Yeah, I probably end up
8,
finishing
8 or
by the
10.
end by tomorrow or something like that. But yeah, my wife
Yeah.
she don't like certain things that she won't watch like I watch. Like she don't like the stuff like the thrill a lot of the thrillers and stuff like that. A lot of the stuff that be like have to do with like killings or she don't like certain things with certain music. Like I'm trying to think she watched what's the name of that show? Is it Miramar? The
Miramar.
is it HBO? I may be saying it wrong. No, it's the detective lady.
Mara Easttown?
Mary Easton, yeah, that's it. Yeah. She didn't like watching
Dude.
that, but it's certain
What?
shows like that. Yeah, I know. Like it's certain
Yo,
things
that was
she won't even get into it, depending on like how the intro is. She's like that. She kind of be like that. It's certain things she have to like, cause she like I think like that show she didn't watch, but like or something like Yellowstone. There's certain things she won't get into unless she like catch it with. And like I'll go on and finish it without her. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Yo, Mayor of Easttown was the best show to
that's
come
a
out
great
last
show.
year. That
That's a
show
great
was
show,
great,
man.
man. But it's funny you mentioned Animal Kingdom because, like, when I mention Animal Kingdom to people have no idea what I'm talking about. And it's been
Yes,
out for like years. And I'm like, yo, Animal Kingdom is that deal, yo. Like,
yeah.
it is really, really a great show, man. Even when Smurf got killed off, like
Yeah.
it's still they were still able to continue, a good
Right. I,
show.
I didn't I didn't know how I didn't think they was gonna be able. I was like, man, there's no way they can finish the show now. You know what I'm saying? But they was able definitely to continue the show. And I was thinking like I was like thinking like cause I always like Jay. Like Jay was like the one. Like I always
Yeah,
like
I
how
like Jay.
I like how Jay he thinks and he business and like the way he had maneuvered that business transition when he got all the properties and got the money and got the bowling alley and all that stuff and they
Yep.
didn't know and then he had to go like kill the lawyer lady or whatever like that. It's like Jay be thinking, man. So I was thinking like Jay was gonna be like really, but now like this new, I think the last one I watched, I was like, I guess they knew what Jay did, and I was thinking they made him sell his stuff, and I was like, dang. I didn't think he was gonna do it. I thought he was gonna do something about it, but he actually sold it. So I was like, oh, okay, it's not the see what's eventually gonna happen. But I'm trying to figure out what they're gonna do with remember the lady came in, the black lady that came in at the end? Like she was with Smurf back in the day, and then she came in
Yeah.
like I remember her because I was thinking her granddaughter and James will probably link up. But they'll probably be on the next. It's another season coming, right? Or was
Yeah,
that the last one?
and this is gonna be the last one. I think
Okay,
this season that's coming, this is gonna be the last season.
okay, it's gonna be last season. Okay, yeah. Because I was trying to figure out like what was gonna happen with that, and what's gonna happen with, like I said, the tall brother. You know his baby moms.
She dipped out on them.
She dipped out on him she took the baby too. She dipped out
Yeah,
with the
she took
baby.
the
So
baby.
yeah, she took the baby. And I was trying to figure out what's going on with that because she be doing her thing on the side and all that stuff. So and then she and them folks seen her when she remember when she robbed that dude.
Yep.
When they robbed the dude, but they saw her face, you know what I'm saying? So they know I ain't know, so I'm trying to see what's gonna actually happen with that. But
Yeah, man, that's a dope show, man. So like,
yeah.
how did you get so much in the cinema, man? Like I be seeing what you be posting, man, and I be like, yo, he be fucking with a lot of the stuff that I be fucking with, man.
Yeah, like the movies and the TV shows, man. That's the thing I've always like loved. Like I think that may come from just like coming up with my grandma. My grandma like she watched like I started like how like I'm not heavy into the sports, but that's because of, like you said, your exposure. But my exposure was soap operas. So I started out watching like Young and Restless, all that stuff. So when I got heavy into that, as far as like really getting into the character, really getting into what's going on, that just led on to everything else. Like my sister, she always watched like all the stuff like Child's Play and like all that stuff. So I watched whatever she watched. 90210, Meryl's Place, all them shows. So growing up watching all them shows, that's what led to now where I just love watching, because it almost puts me, when I'm watching a show like these shows, I picture myself there actually in it, like watching it, being like understanding how this is in this particular place, like how it is this place, and you watch this place and like certain different ones. Cause when I see that stuff, it's like it helps me understand people too. Because when I watch shows, it shows a lot of characteristics of how people really are. A lot of times, it's like people really like this. You know, you meet people, you be like, you start thinking, it takes you back to like a show you watch. So that's why I don't know. It's just, what about you? Like, what got you to like, how'd you get into like just really being heavy into like the cinema stuff and all that?
Man, honestly, it's so funny you say that, dude, because like my mom was hit, dude. I used to that like, so if the people that don't know, this is what CBS thing used to be, all right. And so obviously we had the stories came on while we was in school.
Right.
So what my mom used to do, she had the old school the remote to set the VCR to record them, right?
Right.
So so when I would get home, it would be what's the name of it? I'm trying to get them in order. It was Young and the Restless, As the World Turns, God and Light, and Bold and the Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I would have to sit there because I didn't have no cable in my room. Right. So like, but then like once you watch it, and then it's like, okay, so you see it Monday, and then you see it Tuesday, you're like, oh shit, I want to know what happened. So now I'm in on Wednesday. I'm like, oh man, so like it kind of started with that, but then like once it comes to like all the other stuff, like when I went to go live with my dad, like my cousins, like they would be watching this show, and then like I would sit down with my dad and he'll watch things like Murder She Wrote. Mm-hmm. He used to like MASH, Star Trek, Heat of the Night. Yeah. So like he got into like all of those shows. So then they got me, getting into shows as well. So then when it comes to movies though, especially when it comes to horror movies, like I was always gravitated towards horror movies. I would tell people like Michael Myers is my guy. Like mine Halloween, the original, the 78 is one of the greatest movies ever.
Right. I say the same thing. Yeah.
And so then what really got me like into that was when I'll never forget this, 1995. The first time, like as far as I can remember, that might not have been the first time I ever been to the movies, but that's the one that I can remember. Right. Was going to the movies to go see Candyman 2.
Oh wow, you went to the movies and seen it.
I went to the movies and seen it. Listen, I'm 10 years old. Right. Watching Candyman in the movies. And I'm supposed to be scared as fuck, but it's like I gravitated to it, and it's like, yo, like this is dope. And it took me into this word of like, yo, like I love horror movies. Like horror is my greatest genre. But when it comes to TV shows, it's just like I think that just being around like my mom and my dad and like watching a lot of shit that they watch, and I'm really at the end of the day, like I'm a loner, dude. Like for me, like a great day for me, like I'm off today. You know what I'm saying? Like I can sit here, like I watched last night, The Adam Project came out on Netflix.
Okay. All right. I had to see, yeah, right.
So it's just like for me, man, I could sit here and I could just watch content all day. That's a fun day for me. Like I don't need to go to the bar or the club or something like that. Like you said you might finish Pieces of Her today.
So, right.
It's like it sounds like that's a great day for you.
Right. I'm the same way. Like that's me. Like what you just said, I mean you the same person as far as coming that like you can go people like they be like, what you like do for fun and all that stuff. I like watching Netflix. I like watching stuff on TV. Like I like relaxing. That's like relaxing to me. Like even when I'm in the worst mood, I can still lay there and like watch something like that I like enjoy. Like that's what I do sometimes. Like when I'm in a situation and like I got a lot on my mind, sometimes I'll watch something that might relate, or I might watch something, but just watching something relaxes me, and I like doing that more than like doing anything else. And like that's why I can sit there and watch, like you said, a series over and over and over. It like depends on mood in me. If I'm like I don't know, I'm the same way, man. I just love. That's just my idea of fun. Like if I could get paid to like watch movies and like talk about them and stuff like that. That would be like the ultimate job. Be like, hey, we need you to watch this, watch this, and come back and tell us about it, and we're gonna give you $1 million for it. Like that'd be what I do because I just love enjoying watching. Sometimes like in my mind, it's like I be sitting there thinking like I got a calendar, and I'll write on my calendar. Like I write on my calendar like whatever bills are due, so that way I don't miss them. Also, I'll write down like for example, like I might have on like Thursdays. I might have like Bit Sky. You ever seen that show, Bit Sky?
No, I haven't watched it. Heard of it, but I
Yeah,
haven't watched
Bit Sky pretty decent, man. I was like, I have Bit Sky, and I just saw because if they took like a 2 month, like they went away for like 2 months, then come back on. So I had to write it down, like, oh, make sure I catch it so I can like catch up because there's so many things I watch. I don't want to get behind. Like I used to watch Grey's Anatomy. Now, like I didn't think it's gonna go this long, but I probably done went 10 years and done missed it because it's like I don't know so many seasons. So last time I seen it, it was like that one dude was still on there. That guy, I think it was it Brooke? He was like the black doctor. They ended up kicking him off the show for some like personal stuff, but he was on there. Remember I'm talking about?
Jesse Williams?
Nah, the dark skinned black. He was like a preacher in one movie. The last, the shepherd or something like that. That one dude, Dr. Brooke
I think he was like
he was like the
he was head of the hospital for a while.
Yeah, I believe he was head because he started. Because he started.
Yeah, the goatee.
He had to go. I think. Well, I know he started sleeping with the Asian chick, Christina. I think her name was Christina.
Oh no! You talking about I know you talking about Isaiah Washington. Isaiah Washington.
Exactly. That's how long it's been since I watched it. He was still on the show, or he might have just not been on the show no more. I believe. Or matter of fact, no, I know what happened. Last time I watched the show, the main character, and the other guy. He was living like a camper or something, or a trailer or something, but he was living like a camper. He had bought like some land. I think it's been like I said, it's been years ago though. So that's what I'm saying. I need to like catch up one of these years. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man.
So how did you get so diverse in shows, man? Because like for me, like I could sit back and watch just about anything. And like I really don't really mess with regular network TV as that much. Like I just recently started watching a show on NBC called The End Game. Like they're like 3 episodes in. It's a pretty good show. But really, like the only thing I really watched on NBC is like Law and Order SVU. Like that was really like the only 2 shows I really messed with. Like, I like for me, like the GOAT set this is, HBO, Showtime, and like now, Netflix is creeping in there. Amazon got some pretty good shows. Hulu's starting to do good, but like how did you get so diverse, man? Because like, I know some people like I said, some people never heard of Animal Kingdom. It's a TNT show, but it's just like I can watch a show like I'm comfortable with watching. I can watch a show that got all black people in it. I can watch a show that it got all white people in it, and it's just like, and like you said earlier, like I think it also exposes you to things that you maybe never been exposed to.
Right.
And I think that you could also learn from watching different backgrounds and stuff like that. So how did you get so diverse? Is it because you mentioned earlier, like you would watch like 90210 and like Melrose Place and stuff like that. How did you get so diverse in the things that you watch?
That's pretty much it. Like for example, that's where that's where all the, I believe that drive to want more and want to be wealthy came from just seeing their lifestyle on those shows. Like them shows, seeing that Cali. I've never been to Cali. I've been everywhere but Cali. I want to go to Cali one day, but it's like just seeing those lifestyle. But like watching different shows, I just get into them because like especially like those drama and those crime dramas or whatever. Like I really get into them because like I said, you build a relationship with those characters because you start knowing them by name. When I'm watching them, you know them by names. And it's like, it almost feels the shows be so well done that it almost feel like these are real people. But at the end of the day, this is a show. But when we watch them, I'm looking at them like, dang, I can't believe such and such did this. So like me and my wife, we were going around the house and I'd be like, I can't believe such and such. We talking about whoever on the show and we like talking about it as if them like this really happened, but it's just a show. But y'all know it just got released. But like you were saying about the NBC show, like I had like even like the Law and Orders. I've never seen any of those because I didn't really know about them. And the only reason I knew about Animal Kingdom, I think a friend told me about it. And then like now because I always had Hulu, And I don't even know how I even started watching Hulu because Hulu's like one like I always had Netflix, and then my wife was like, we need to get Hulu because of this. Because we didn't have no cable, we still don't have cable, so we didn't have cable, so we got Hulu and we started watching something. From there, we just never got rid of it. But if I would have known HBO Max was what it was, I would have had it a long time. I only got it because what movie came out last year, 2 years ago, and everybody got HBO Max? I think it was
Well,
it was like Black
well,
Messiah.
what? Yeah, Judas and the Black Messiah.
Okay, that's when I didn't know nothing about HBO Max until that because I had to get it to watch that. So I got it. Yeah, I got it because at my barber house he had that on, so I got it. I was gonna get it, and I was gonna unsubscribe once I finished watching it. But like I started seeing them other shows on there, and I was like, dang, it's a lot of stuff in here that I didn't even know nothing about. And then now it's like, especially watching I'm gonna miss the name. What's the most recent? What's the show that's on there that everybody love right now? I can't say it. I don't know how to pronounce it. Starts with an E. It's got Rue. It's got Rue. Rue is the main character. Rue.
Oh, Euphoria.
Say okay. So yeah, that's like one of my
Euphoria.
favorite shows. So I just started watching it like I just finished it, but I just started watching it maybe like a month ago, and I finished it like all the way up till like when the last show came on. But like I love that show. You know what I'm saying? That's like
Dude,
another
I
one.
just like the episode before this one. That's my last episode. I did the whole season 2.
Yeah, I seen you get posted. What's it called? I seen like I said. I remember that. I had when you posted. I hadn't finished the last episode. I remember that. It was like 2 weeks ago, right? 2 or 3 weeks ago.
About a week ago. About
a week ago.
Yeah.
Right. Matter of fact, I started watching that show. I first started watching that show when we had first spoke about doing podcasts. I was down in Florida. That's when I started watching it then. And then like when I started watching, I was like, man, I love this show. This show is really good. Cause I started watching it, and that's the first time I had watched the first part of the Kanye thing too. But like that show was like watching that show was like I can just feel it. Cause it's like when you're looking at that show, it's like this show is crazy, but it's like, man, this stuff probably because I didn't see none of this type of stuff going. Like I seen certain little things, but I ain't know nobody that was like deep, heavy into like the stuff they on that show, like growing up. So it's like seeing that like takes my like it's like really impacts. I'm like, dang, I didn't know people really be like I didn't know this kind of stuff really be going on when you think about it. It's like that's I think they're in Cali. I'm not sure, but stuff like that goes on in places where people like you got teenagers that heavy into drugs. You got people like just doing all kind of crazy stuff. It's just shocking, you know what I'm saying, the stuff that go on. So that's why I watch the show just to get that shock effect, because it's like I just couldn't imagine, because like I said, I be trying to see everything that I just couldn't imagine. I be trying to like see it, because I'm like it kind of gives me a shock value where it's like, dang, like this actually happens. So you kind of like, you know what I mean, you kind of got to be aware, like you gotta be thankful for that you didn't have to like be in these situations, or you didn't have to know nobody that was in these situations. But yeah, man, that's the main thing. I really get hooked into that part where it's like, yeah, like this stuff is crazy, man. So, and it's like a lot of times when things happen in certain shows, I can sometimes say, oh, I know, like what's the name of it? I was seeing a show the other day that it was 2 parts of it. I can't remember the name of it because I watched both. It was like season 1, season 2. They didn't bring it back on, but okay, it had Michael Ealy in it, and it had the lady that played in what's the Adam Sandler movie when he's playing football? Waterboy.
Waterboy.
Yeah, she's a detective. Do you know what show I'm talking about? I watched this on Tubi. This show.
Oh man, I know what you're talking about. I didn't watch that show though, but I know what you're talking about. I can see the cover in my head, but I can't remember the name of it.
And that cover, that's just season 2, because there's a season 1 that don't even have Michael Ealy in it. But she's in it again too. But like I said, she's a detective, and they took that show. Like that show is 2 seasons, it's an amazing show. And I went to go look up to see there's a season 3, and it's like, nah, ain't a season 3. This show like went off like years ago, and they just didn't read. And that's one thing I get attached to a show, and then I find out they not bringing it. Now I get a show that's like kind of like the ran its course, like okay, cool. But a show that be like kind of like 7 seconds. You ever seen that?
Man, I was so pissed off they didn't bring that back.
Dang,
that was a great show. That was a great show.
I was like, dang, in my mind, I'd be like, okay, so like, this is kind of stuff. Like, I guess I don't know if it can work like this, but like, I don't know if it works like this, but you know how like somebody says like, what would you do? Like, sometimes I see certain things, I'd be like, man, like this show is good enough that whatever money it took to make this show again. If I was like somebody like Tyler Perry, Tyler Perry got crazy money. Like, I don't want him to do the show. I just want him to put the money behind whatever the money is missing to do the show. I mean, just invest in the show. You know what I'm saying? Like, just give them your money. Give the same people that was doing the show whatever they want. Just give it to them, just to make. Like, I waste money. Like, if I was like blow money, that's the kind of money I would blow just to make a show continue to be good. I would do that kind of stuff if I had like Tyler Perry kind of money. But I don't know if it works like that in Hollywood. So
Yeah, have it ever been a show? Because I'm gonna say something that might be a little embarrassing, but has this ever happened to you? Have you ever got so invested in the show? Like, so okay, I got into Sopranos late. I watched Sopranos last year, and I got into it because like the HBO Max thing. What was great about the HBO Max thing was what they did last year during the pandemic was they released a new movie every Friday that would have been in theaters because they did a deal with Warner Brothers. So all Warner Brothers movies was released on HBO Max last year.
right,
So they dropped The Many Saints of Newark, and it's the Sopranos story.
right.
So I watched The Many Saints, and I was like, you know what?
Oh dang!
I'm
So
gonna
you
go back
watched Many Saints and then watched
first.
Sopranos.
Yes.
See,
I
okay, so
watched
you
The
kind
Many
of did
Saints
it.
first.
So it was good for you to do it that way, because
Yeah,
the way
because
I did
it's
it,
the story before Tony.
right. So the way I watched it, kind of like I didn't it made me mad because I I watched Sopranos maybe like 2 or 3 years ago for the first time. Like, I didn't watch it back when everybody else was watching. I watched it late too, but it was like 2 or 3 years ago. So I'd already invested time watching the Sopranos, and then I seen The Many Saints, and I was like disappointed.
Yeah, see, for me, I wasn't disappointed in The Many Saints because, like, first I'm watching it and I don't really know what's going on, so I'm being
Right,
introduced to all of these characters, and so
right,
then as soon as I got done watching it, I started the first episode of The Sopranos, and it got to the point where because I finished all basically 7 seasons in a couple of months of time, and it got to the point I got so invested when I watched the the season finale, I'm like about a week or two later, it's like, damn, man, I kind of missed The Sopranos. Like, have you ever got to a point where you got
oh
so
yeah,
invested in the show, you like, yo, but I missed that show, but like, because I
yeah, a
got to the
lot,
point,
yeah,
where I was so Tony Soprano, dude. I was having dreams about Tony Soprano, dude.
yeah.
Like
Like,
it
I
got
was
so
into a lot
crazy.
of shows like that, man. I've been like, it's some show I started watching. I watched it late, but listen, it's based in Kentucky. Like I said, so many shows that I can't think quick off my head, but it's based in Kentucky. And the only person I knew to watch this show was like Justin Reed. He's the only other person I knew to watch this show. But it came on. It was in Kentucky, and he was like a marshal, U.S. Marshal. You know what show I'm talking about? I can't think right now. Uh, dang, if it comes to me, I'd say, but I got invested into that show. And that show was really good, and I can't think of the name of it, man. I had to like figure out I can't even think of the name. That show was amazing, man. And like I got invested in that show, and they like went off. I'm like, dang, that show was a really good show.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened to me because I was trying to think of there was this one detective show, man, that came out. It was based in Seattle, and well,
I know
actually, I
exactly what
think
you're
that
talking about. I think I
it
know what
was
you're talking about.
the lead, the lead
Lady and the
girl
dude
was
was lady and the dude was the lead detectives.
well, she was kind of no, she was kind of solo. She's the girl, so you know the girl in the Marvel movies, right? The she's involved in Shield. Like she's always the one chick that be with Nick Fury all the time. The
Uh-uh.
brunette chick. Where she was the lead of this show, and it was like everyone I talked to, nobody heard of the show. And I'm like, yo, like this show is fucking good, yo.
I'm gonna say okay.
Ah, I
And
can't
okay,
remember
this show
what it
on
was.
this particular show, so she was just by herself, nobody else was ever with her.
Well, I mean, the show was surrounded about her, and she had a little brother that I think he had. I don't think it was Down syndrome. It might have been Down syndrome, but like she just basically would like just do like these solo joints. Like she got involved with a guy, but like the guy he wasn't a cop. But I
Okay.
can't remember what it was. But like, dude, I'm the same way. Like I
Like
end up I watch so much stuff, and it gets to the point like now I went back because now like what I do. So with the Viewers Anonymous, we do 2 episodes a week,
mhm.
right? So I have to watch either a movie or a show or a documentary for that show. And then I also watch stuff independently that I just like. But then also I pick a show that I would do like with The Sopranos because like I would watch a couple of episodes of The Sopranos, then I'll watch something that I was supposed to do for that. So I pick something to basically fill time.
Right.
And like one of those shows that I'm doing right now to fill time is Homeland.
I'm like, okay.
It's a Showtime show.
Right.
And but like Homeland was big. I think it came out 2017, and I think that no, I think it came out a little earlier than that. But like they finished it, but it's like 4 or 5 seasons, like maybe 5 or 6 seasons. But like, so I just pick a show to like fill time. But like, dude, I get in so much content, but also when I watch this content, oh, I'm sorry to pick it back off what you said. You said earlier that you would love to get paid for watching movies. Do you
Yeah.
know I just Googled yesterday while I was working how to become a movie critic. Like
Oh, yeah,
I
wow.
need to be a movie critic.
Right,
I
right,
feel
right.
like I feel like the way I be going in on movies and the way I be knowing this shit, I be like,
Right,
yo, I need to be getting paid for doing this shit, man.
right,
So like it was so funny that you said that because I literally just looked that up yesterday,
right.
like
Yeah, yeah. Like I
how
said,
to
that seemed
do
like
it.
an amazing job, man, for somebody to be able to like that's what they do. Like that's because like all you doing what you that's something I love doing is that right there.
Yeah, like that's what makes the Viewers Anonymous so great because it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. That's why I love doing like a lot of the old movies that we do because it's like you've watched these movies like all your life. Like I'm pretty sure there's some movies that you always go back to, and it's like you want to talk about it in depth with somebody, but like maybe like your wife or a friend or whatever, like they're not into it like you are. And to have, you know what I'm saying, a co-host who is into this shit the way that I am, like it is like it's like the funnest thing for me
Right,
to
right.
to break down a movie like one of my favorite movies with somebody that's just invested as I am. Like, dude, that
Right.
is the funnest shit ever,
It
man.
for sure, man. Like I love that, man. That guy we was just remember that show you was talking about in Seattle. The guy that I thought you were talking about, he tried to run for president on House of Cards.
Um, you're not talking about Kevin Spacey, are you?
No, no, not Kevin Spacey. The guy that remember he became president. This guy tried to run for president. He was the skinny younger dude. Right towards
Uh,
the end with Kevin Spacey before they kicked him off the show. This guy was running against Kevin Spacey. I can't think of his name, but he plays in shows and movies and stuff. He's skinny. He I can't think of his. Let me see if I can think of. I'm not gonna be able to think of his name, but this movie is based in Seattle too, and I think it was in Seattle. But I know that like I can't remember the end, but I thought that's because I was trying to that what you're talking about. I was trying to remember what that show was. I wanted to watch it again. I know at one point on this show, I remember at one point the person who ended up being the person who killed whoever. It was I think it was the lady's. It was somebody's sister because she was sleeping with some wealthy dude, and he ended up killing. I don't know if it was she ended up killing whoever it was. I can't like the kid. She ended up killing the kid. And I don't know if she meant to do it or she did it because she wanted to be with the dad or something. I can't really remember, but it was a really good show. And at the end of the show, it was like a limousine, but it's been so long. It's been years since I've seen this show. But I didn't know if that's the one you were talking about or not.
yeah, I hate because I can't remember the name of it. I think they ended up doing 2 seasons and it just haven't came back yet. But but yeah, man, like this is fun. I could do this all day, man. So one thing before I get you out of here, are you into Snowfall?
Yeah, Lil Snowfall. Yeah. Mhm.
Man, I'm telling you,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
that
Like
because
I'm surprised. I'm not surprised, but it's like I'm into Snowfall, and I'm looking at like they say this is the last season, so I'm like, and then like thinking about like how does like how does this like what direction is this gonna go? It's like thinking are they gonna like is Franklin gonna get killed? Is gonna go to jail for a year life? Is what is the mom gonna do? So like it's so many things that you kind of think about like on the show. But what's your take on like it so far or whatever?
man, listen, we just did an episode last night because every Friday episode we do Snowfall. So
Right.
we just did episode 4. No, yeah,
Uh,
4. We just did episode
yeah.
4 last night.
Right. Four is the most recent. So two
Yeah,
came
yeah,
on. Two came on the first night. Then there was one in four.
yeah,
Episode 4. Right.
yeah. So we just did it last night, man. So I can't spill the beans, man. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Yeah.
we just
We
broke
just
it
did it.
down.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, I don't think he posted it yet. But it should be out today or later today. But yeah, man, we that was one of the shows that we did. It's out. He put it out. So he just put it out 35 minutes ago. So so yeah, like we that's one of the shows that we just break down at one episode. So the
Right.
episode is out now, man. So I guess I all I can say is you gotta check out the Viewers Anonymous
Right. 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 I'll check
to
it
get
out.
that, man.
Yeah.
So but
What about
Tyrone, man.
what
Oh,
about
go ahead.
Oh no, I was asking about the other shows. Like, do you watch? I'm sure you watch like the all the powers. Like
Oh
you watch all.
yeah, yeah,
So which
yeah,
one
yeah.
which in order? What are your including the BMF? So in order, which ones are your favorite? Best to least.
Also, we put BMF in there.
And we put BMF in
I
there too.
gotta go. I gotta go. Original Power number one.
Okay.
That's my favorite. Omar Hardwick did a great job playing Ghost. As raising Kanan, it's a little annoying, but Tyreek is annoying too. But they was able to get 2 seasons out of that. I would have to go. I would have to go. Power Book 2,
Hmm.
second. Then I would go BMF. I would go BMF
Hmm.
third. BMF was really good. I'm glad I waited to what I did because I was able to binge it all the way through. I didn't watch it while it was on, so I
Right.
was able to binge BMF. So I like what they're doing with that. How Little Meech is playing his dad. That's
Yeah.
pretty dope. Then I would have to go. I'm not trying to hate on Force because it's still on, but I would have to go um Raising Canaan
Uh-huh.
and then Force. But Force is still early. I just saw they got renewed for a second season.
Yeah.
So obviously people are watching it, but this is one of those things where it's kind of like the Marvel universe, in which I thought it was dope for them to call it the Power Universe. It's like once you get invested for so long, you kind of have to watch everything to be included. It's kind of like Marvel.
Right.
Like
Right.
everything that come out Marvel, you have to watch it because when it comes to a time where they do something else, like a Infinity Wars Endgame, you need to be able to see everything to get all of these characters. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Just like I remember when Luke Cage came out some years back,
Hmm.
and so I saw Luke Cage, then I saw Iron Fist, right? So
Right.
then I saw they came out with Defenders, and Jessica Jones was in it, and Daredevil. I was like, oh shit. So then I had to go back,
Right.
watch Jessica Jones and Daredevil, and then watch Defenders.
Right.
Like the power, what 50 Cent is doing is phenomenal because
Yeah. I love it.
he's getting you pulled in to the point where even if because I'm hearing people saying that Force is starting out kind of slow, it's not as good as this, but what they're doing is they're introducing you. He's in a whole nother city, like
Right.
he's getting you introduced to all these characters, but like he's making Tommy the vocal point, and like within doing this, like we don't know what if him and Tyreek reconnect.
It's
Like we
possible.
don't
Right.
know,
We
so
don't know. Right.
we have to watch Force because you never know when these shows. Well, they can't interchange with Kanan because it went back to the '80s, the early
Right.
'90s. So, but Power Book 2 and Force could what I'm saying, join into one or at
Right.
least have an
Exactly.
episode together or something. So yeah, 50 Cent, what he's doing is great, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I love it too. Like I said, that's pretty much my same order, I believe. Yeah. Cause like the original Power. I think the original Power, then the one with Tyreek, then the BMF, then Raising Canaan was cool. I'm trying. Like I said, you said Forrest is still new. Um, like they just killed Jeremiah on there. So I'm like, dang, I thought Jeremiah was gonna have a good role and he's gonna be able to do his thing. So I was like, dang, you know what I'm saying? So I was looking forward to seeing what they was gonna do. But other than that, man, I like even shows like that when people kind of say they starting off slow, I still gonna watch them because I still gotta I gotta still know what's going on. Whether it be a bad episode, it may not be as good as the others. It's still something to watch and it's still a good show to watch. Compared to whatever else is on. So like, yeah. But yeah, definitely. Like I said, I don't miss them. I try to make sure I watch all almost like it's like a trilogy of books, almost like catching all the
Mhm.
different ones. But yeah, so yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's dope, man. But we definitely gotta do this again, man. This
Yeah,
was
yeah, for
fun.
sure, man. Yeah.
Um, but before we get out of here, man, shout out where everybody can find you at, man, when it comes to the YouTube page, social media, all that type stuff.
I'm underscore cash flow Ty. cash flow Ty on everything. That's Twitter. Twitter is where I write pretty much everything that's in my head. YouTube, Instagram, and then on Facebook, Tyrone Collins on Facebook, and I have a cash flow Ty page on there too. Which I'm gonna start posting more on there. Like I said, I'm trying to learn how to navigate this whole social media thing. So that's one thing I was gonna ask you about. Was this like when you like because I didn't know what we were gonna do as far as I didn't know if it was gonna be like a Zoom or what. But then you sent me the link. I was like, I wrote it down. I was like, I gotta check this stuff. Like I never heard of like this like the thing right here because it's like that it's cool that I can actually do this and talk on my mic, because there's nothing I can do that I know of that I can like talk to somebody and use my mic. And my mic actually
Yeah.
works. You know what I'm saying? Like everything I try to do, like I try to do the Instagram and the Facebook stuff, but for some reason when I try to do it, my mic doesn't record the stuff. I don't know if it's set up like that or not. But yeah, I was like, oh, look into this thing that you have right here. Seems pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. StreamYard is dope, man. Actually, Jamar put me on this,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
we because when the pandemic started, when me and my homeboy started Viewers Anonymous, we used to do it off of Zoom.
Right.
And then Jamar hit us up and told us about StreamYard, and we've been using StreamYard, and man, and it's a great thing, man. I don't do all the little tricks and stuff that he know how to do, but like like it's a thing. Like I put the intro on
Right.
here.
That which
I
was
got my
I
logo.
love that too. That was cool. The intro popped up in this thing. So yeah.
Jamar did that for me.
Oh, okay, I
Jamar,
love
like
that. I was like,
he
man, that's
done.
cool. I was like, dang, that's cool. I seen what's called the watch. I was looking, I was like, dang, that's hard intro. You know what I'm saying? Then I like how you have like I'm looking. I guess everybody can see too. You have at the bottom of it, you have like 20 minutes or less, subscribe, rate, follow. So it's kind of like you have that, and then you got like, so it's just certain things that I get fascinated by when I see, because I be wondering like, dang, what is that? That's like, I don't remember this being on Zoom. You know what I'm saying? Like you go on Zoom, like I like this, man. I gotta definitely check it out.
Yeah, definitely check that out, man.
Yeah,
But
man.
look, man, it's been definitely, man, a pleasure having you on, man.
Same here, man.
You easy to talk to, and like I know, like you're not necessarily a podcaster, but like I say, with you even doing videos on YouTube, you're used to talking into a screen,
Right.
basically. You know what I'm saying? So it's very easy to communicate with somebody who at least do something similar to a podcast,
Right.
man. So this was great, man. It was fun. It was fun having you on, man.
I appreciate you having me, man.
No problem, man. And until the next time, man, look, continued success. I'm following you from afar. You're doing great. You're doing a great job at what you're doing, man. Your business advice is always great. And I also, man, again, like I can't stress this even more to you. Like just you even mentioning the podcast that I do to other people and putting other people on, man. I sincerely appreciate that, man.
No doubt, man. I was like I said, honored. Like I said, it's one of my favorite podcasts. So when you hit me up and was like, you want to be on the podcast? I was like, man, I'd love to. And then when I missed it, man, I felt so bad. Like I was like, man, what can I do, man? I'll do anything, bro. Like I was like, dang, man, I felt so bad, because it's like I feel like anytime you give a person your word, I'm always on it. It just at that time I was doing something, I didn't write it down. So I'm glad you gave me another opportunity to be on this, man. Because this to me is, like I said, one of my favorites. And it's like I don't know, something about just being on your stuff, man. It's just, and watching you, it's like I look the way other people may look at stuff. They may look at like they may look I am athlete. That's how I look at your stuff. Like the way somebody may look at people that are famous, that people don't. It's because we have like a personal stuff. We know each other. We grew up together, and just to seeing how it's set up, I just love all of this, man. So like, keep doing what you're doing, man. It's gonna be something, like I said, it's the most slept on podcast out there. So people need to check this out and go back and look at all your old video, all old audio from Stolen Time days too. Since I need to get all that stuff, because it's so much. Man. I remember so much stuff and so much different times, so it takes you back to a time. So yeah, for sure.
Dang, man, I appreciate that, man. Thanks a lot, man. And so, man, I appreciate everybody for listening to episode 77. I think this is the first time I mentioned it was episode 77. But I appreciate everybody for listening, rate, subscribe, all of that stuff, review. And Ty, I appreciate you, man. Until the next time, man. I'm out. Peace. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.